Hello children, welcome to the Guru Gather Educational Program. Today I am going to discuss with you the lesson frequency distribution of the grade 10 mathematics syllabus. I hope all of you are ready with your books. Let us see what we are going to discuss today. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify what a mean value of a class interval is. Thereby, you will be able to calculate the mean of a frequency distribution. Let us recall on what we have already discussed in the previous years. Data. Data can be divided into two main types. I hope you all can remember we categorize these into two types, qualitative data and quantitative data. Let us go further into these two types. Qualitative data. Quality. In this type of data, we are looking at the quality of the data. For example, children, you can go around your school garden and observe the color of the flowers. There, you are looking at the quality of the flower, the color. So, it is a descriptive type of data that you collect. For example, I can go around and identify the blood types of a set of people. So, there also we are looking at a quality. The next type, quantitative data, will always be a numerical value. For example, children, look at the size of the shoes that you are wearing, or maybe your body mass. Both of these are numerical values. So, those fall into quantitative data type. Quantitative data also can be separated into two types. So, discrete data and continuous data. Discrete data will always be a count. For the example that I took, the size of the shoe is a count. Continuous data, the body mass, will be a continuous type of data. Discrete data takes only whole number values. So, it will always be a count. For example, the number of family members, the number of telephone calls that a receptionist receives at a reception. Continuous data can not only take whole number values, but also it can be decimal values that you obtain as your data. So, for example, children, your body mass, the height of a child, or maybe even the lifetime of a bulb. All of these values fall into the continuous type. In grade 6, we learnt about methods of collecting data. For example, your teacher daily collects data by marking the attendance in the early morning. And also, she makes a mark sheet at end of each term test. And also, in grade 6, we use tally marks to collect data. So, here I have put some examples. Even over the phone or by using questionnaires, we can use collect data. So, these collected data needs to be represented properly for us to get an idea out of it. Let us look at some more methods of representing data. I hope you all can remember the collected data was represented using line charts. This example gives you a set of data collected on dengue cases from year 2002 to 2019. By looking at this, we can easily identify that there is a rise in the year 2016. Next, we used bar charts to represent data, and also we used pie charts in representing data in grade 10. So, with all these, we can move into data interpretation. By interpreting data, we can identify the story behind the data. So, once you identify the story behind the data, you can compare them, you can analyze it and identify any outliers of the data set. When you observe a set of data, you can identify patterns. For example, in a company, the annual sales, if the company managers can have a look at the annual sales, they can do predictions for the next year. So, all these data will help them to make future plans and take good decisions in making the company a success. Let us look at some other types of representative values of data. I hope you all can remember the three types of representative data that we discussed in early grades: mean, median, mode. I hope all of you can remember them. Right. Let us look at a simple set of data. In this, children, I have given you a set of marks given out of 10, and the marks have been obtained by 15 students. So, this is set of raw data that I have obtained. So, the first child has got 9 marks out of 10, second child has got 4 marks out of 10. But this raw data can be arranged in ascending order for further calculations. So, when I put them into ascending order, this is what I get. By arranging it in ascending order, I am losing the rawness of the data because I have put them in order and I won't be able to identify what the first child has got. Now, with this, we can move on to the next representative values. Mode. Children, I have put this in ascending order and you can see that 7 appears thrice on this data set. The mode is the number or the value which appears the highest number of times within a data set. That is, in other words, that is the value that has the highest occurrence in the data set. So, children, it will be 7 which appears thrice on this. So, I have to select mode as 7. The next representative value that we are going to discuss is median. That is the value which stands in the exact middle of the data set when you arrange it in ascending or descending order. So, we have to look at the place of this median. So, dear children, please remember that we are not calculating the median straight away. We are just calculating or finding out the place of the median. So, in my example, when I arrange it in ascending order, you can see all the 15 data points in order. So, to find the place of the median, I have to add 1 to the number of data points and divide it by 2. So, here 15 plus 1 will be 16, that divided by 2, it will be the 8th data point. So, the place is 8. In my set of data, you can see if we keep on counting, we can identify the 8th value to be 6. So, the median of this data set will be 6. The next representative value that we are going to discuss is mean. The mean, in simple terms, it is the average of the data set. Your teacher calculates an average at the end of the term. How does she calculate that, children? She takes all the marks that you have obtained for the subjects at the end of the term test, and then she divides it by the number of subjects. So, in my data set, to get the average or to calculate the mean, have the sum of the data set. So, I have to keep on adding all these values to find out sigma x. What does this sigma x mean? X stands for the data points. Sigma denotes the sum of all the data points. So, the sum of the data points need to be divided by the total number of data points. So, here children, it will be 9 divided by 15, which gives you a value of 6. I hope all of you understood this calculation. Now, let us look at the range. Range gives us an idea on the spread of the data. So, therefore, it is the difference between the highest and the lowest value. So, in my example, the highest value is 9 and the lowest value is 2, thereby the range will be 7. I hope you understood that part. Now, with all these, let's move on to the next part of the lesson. Data can be categorized into 2 other types as well. On this screen, you can see 2 tables. Children, can you notice any difference between the values in the 2 tables here? Please observe the first table. There, the data appears in an individual format as single values. But in the second table, you can see that the data has been categorized or put into class intervals. So in the first table, the data that you get is very raw data. The data is raw. We haven't done anything on that. We have just put them into a table. But in the second table, since we have put them into class intervals, we have lost the rawness of the data. So they are called as grouped data. So I hope you understood the difference between ungrouped and grouped data. Now let us move on to the next part of the lesson, the lower limit and the upper limit of a class interval when it comes to a class interval. The class interval has a lower limit and an upper limit. Within a class interval, the lowest possible value that you can take will be the lower limit, and the highest possible value that you can see will be the upper limit. Next, we have to discuss about the boundaries. Let's look at the slide. Lower boundary and upper boundary. The class boundaries are the ones that divides the class intervals. So for example, put this circle in limit. The outer boundary will give you the boundary of the class interval. So children, how can we calculate this? Let us look at an example, children. Look at this table. When you look at the second class interval, the lower limit and the upper limit of the previous class interval has a gap of 1. So to make them equal, we take the difference between these two values, 68 and 67, and divide it by 2. Thereby, the answer that you obtain will be 0.5. So that 0.5 needs to be added to the upper limit of the class interval, first class interval, and then that 0.5 needs to be deducted from the lower limit of the second class interval. So from 68 you deduct 0.5, thereby the lower boundary of the class interval that we consider becomes 67.5. Now children, look at that, both the boundaries are the same. Right. Now, if I take another class interval, the lower boundary of the first class interval will be 58.5 and the upper boundary of it will be 67.5. Likewise, you can calculate this for the whole set of class intervals. Now, let us look at the class size. Class size of a class interval will be the difference between the upper limit and the lower limit, and for that you have to add 1 because we are looking at the size of the class interval. By just deducting the limits, you won't be able to identify the class size. For that you need to add 1 more. But if you are using class boundaries, for example the upper boundary and the lower boundary, straight away you can take the difference. So your answer you will obtain easily by using the class boundaries. Now, if I take an example, children, the class interval 59-67. Using limits, if I do this, this is what I will obtain. Notice children, I am adding 1 to that, thereby only I am getting my answer. If you use boundaries, you can straight away simplify and get the answer 9. Let us look at another example. Here I am going to discuss how you are going to put this raw data into class intervals. As you can notice, they ask you to make a frequency distribution table with 5 classes. The red colored data points are the ones which has the highest value and the lowest value being indicated. Now children, first of all let us calculate the range. So the difference between the maximum value and the minimum value will be the range. So here the calculation is done for you, so it is 58. After identifying the range, we have to identify how many classes that we have to make. So the question says 5 classes. Let us separate this into 5 classes. To do that, I am going to use a simple formula. On the screen you can see the size of the class interval is said to be equal to the range being divided by number of class intervals. So the range here is 58. Since we want 5 class intervals, we divide this by 5. So the answer you obtain is closer to 12, which means the class intervals that you prepare here should be having a size of 12. Let us look at the class intervals, I can start with 66 because the lowest value that I have is 67. So if I start from 66, the class interval will end at 77. Then 78 to 89, 90 to 101, 102 to 113 and 114 to 125. Now children, let us look at a frequency distribution and two more representative values that we can talk of. The modal class interval. Earlier in the data set we discussed about a mode, but when it comes to a distribution like this where you have class intervals, we cannot talk about a single value. Therefore, we are referring to a class interval which may contain the mode. So, the modal class interval will be the class interval that contains the mode. So, therefore, it will be the class interval with the highest frequency. So, on the screen you can see that 17 is the highest frequency. Therefore, the modal class of this distribution will be 6876. Next, let us discuss about the median class interval. Here also children, we cannot identify a single value. So it is the place that we look for, the place where the median might fall into. So in this one, we will be getting a class interval which we expect the median to fall into. So here, look at the screen children, the median class interval can be calculated like this. Since we have 80 data points here, we need to identify the place. In identifying the place, you can see that we get a value of 40.5. So that is roughly the place of the data, the median. So median will be lying in between 40th and 41st place. To find that, we need to add the frequencies. So when adding the frequencies, I have done it on the board in red color, where I keep on adding the frequencies to get the sum of the frequencies. Once you come to this 32, it means that up to the three class intervals, we have 32 data points in order. But we are looking for the 40th or the 41st data. Therefore, we need to move into the next class interval. At the end of the next class interval, you can see children, it is 47 data points that you get. So definitely the median should be lying in this class interval. So my median class interval should be 7785. This is a new part for you all because we are going to calculate the mean of a distribution using the mid value. Before that, we have to identify what the mid value is. So let us go through this explanation. Mid value of a class interval. The mid value of a class interval is the middle value of it. To find that, we need to get the lower limit and the upper limit and divide it by 2. So for example, if I consider this class interval 5967, I have to add them together and divide it by 2 to find the middle value. So 63 will be the mid value of this class interval 5967. Why do we need to calculate the mid value? This mid value represents the whole class interval. So children, in using the mid value for class intervals, we are doing a small assumption. We assume that the data points within each class interval are equally distributed. Therefore, the value that we calculated as the mid value will be used for further calculations. So that will be the most fair value to represent the whole class interval. Now children, let us see how we are going to use this mid value in our calculations. Now, let us look at an example. In this example, you can see that I have collected some data on the collection of an amount of money collected by a set of scouts for a certain project. Here, the class intervals are given in the first column and the number of scouts in the second column. So, as a total, we can see that there are 80 scouts. Now, we are going to use this table for the calculations. Definitely, you will have to draw this on your papers or the books because we will have to do a small calculation here. To do that, This is what you have to be drawing. On this, the pink color column is standing for the mean values. I hope you can remember what we learned just now. Therefore, we will do the calculations for the mean value. First class interval, if we consider, we have to identify the lower limit and the upper limit and divide it by 2. So, I have done the calculation for you. 50 plus 58 divided by 2, which gives you 54. So, 54 will be the mean value of the first class interval. Now children, I will do this as an example. So, later on when we are doing the exercises, we can do the sums together. Now children, second class interval, 59 and 67, the sum of those two values you divide by 2. Therefore, you get 63. So, I have done the sum. So, I can give you the answers like this. Yes. So, all the mean values I have put in the second column. Now, we have to use this for the calculation of the mean of this distribution. To calculate the mean, as I explained earlier, in your term test exams, what we did was, we added all the marks and then divided it by the number of subjects. Now, in this distribution, we don't have single values, but we have it along with the frequencies. So, what we have to do is, we multiply these values by frequency and get the sum of it. So, let us look at the next slide where I have worked it out in a new column. In the new column, what we are going to put is the product of these two values. So, if you look at the first row, it is 54 into 3, which gives you a value of 162. 63 into 12 will give you 756. 72 into 17, 1224. 81 into 15, you get 1215. 90 into 13, 1170. 99 into 8, 792. 108 into 7 will give you 756. 117 into 5, 585. Now we need to calculate the sum of this. So thereby you have to add all these values and you will be getting 6660. Now we have the sum of all the data points of this distribution. How did we calculate it, children? What did we multiply? We multiplied the mid values and the frequencies. And how? We have obtained 6660. So on the screen you can see that mean calculation can be done as follows. The sum of all the data points, which is denoted by sigma fx, that is, sigma stands for the summation of all the data points. It's not summation x only, it is summation of f into x, because all the data points and the frequencies were multiplied. So, final answer you obtain when you divide this by 80, the total number of scouts is 80. So, when you divide it, you get 83.25. What does this actually mean? It is the mean income per person, which is 83 rupees and 25 cents. Okay, children. Now, let us look at another example. I hope you have your textbooks with you. So, let us do it together. This was the first example that I discussed. Now it's time for us to work together. So please take your textbook. We'll look at the textbook sum. I have taken this from the textbook. Let us all go through this question. This is from page 94 in your grade 10 textbook, and the first question of that exercise 26.3. A frequency distribution prepared using the data on the quantity of beans that was brought to a certain vegetable collection center on a certain day by 40 farmers is given below. This information was obtained through a survey conducted on the quantities of vegetables that are brought to the vegetable collection center by farmers. As you can see, children, the table is given, the mass in kilograms and the number of farmers. So we know that the total number of farmers is 40. So what they ask us to calculate is the mean quantity of beans that was brought by the farmers. And second, they are asking us another question. Accordingly, what is the quantity of beans that can be expected to be brought to this center during a 10-day period? Now children, let us start the calculation. The question is given in the horizontal format. Now we will have to put it into a vertical format. I hope you can remember what we drew for the earlier sum. Let us draw this table together. On the first column of this table, I have put the class intervals, which denotes the mass of the beans being brought in kilograms. Then I have put another extra column for mean value. Then I have written down the number of farmers, after which I have taken another column fx. Now children, I hope you have copied this to your book. Let us fill this table and see how we are going to calculate this. Right. First thing that we have to do is to add this column, the frequency column, and obtain 40. Since we already know the value, we can quickly put that at the end of that column. Now let us move into the mid value. In each of these class intervals, we have to calculate the mid values. Can you remember how we calculated it? If you look at the first class interval, you have to add the two limits and divide it by 2 to obtain the mid value. So children, the first class interval is 14 and 18. So the two limits we add together and divide it by 2. Let us look at the screen now. 14 and 18 divided by 2. The sum of the two values divided by 2 is 16. So the next class interval, 18 plus 22 divided by 2, which will give you 20. Now when you keep on writing these values, since the size of the class intervals are the same, there will be a pattern in the mid values as well. For example, 16 can be obtained easily by adding 2 to 14. Similarly, in each of the class intervals, we can quickly find out the mid values by adding 2 to each of these values. So 22 plus 2 will be 24. Then 26 plus 2 will be 28. 30 plus 2 will be 32. So once we calculate the mid values, now we have to move on to the next part. What shall we do next? For the calculation of the mean, you know that we need to find out the sum of the fx column. So children, let us work out the fx column. In the fx column, what we do is we multiply the frequencies and the mid values of the class intervals. When you look at the table, the mid value of the first class interval is 16 and the frequency is 3. Let us multiply this. The answer is 48. Similarly, we'll do the calculations for each of these rows. 20 into 7, 140, 24 into 15, 360, 28 into 11, 308, 32 into 4, 128. We need to add this column, so we will be obtaining sigma fx. So the total here is 984. So once we obtain these two values, we have to divide them to get mean of this distribution. The mean is sigma fx divided by n. N stands for the total of the frequencies. I can write it as sigma f also. So here 984 divided by 40, the value that you get is 24.6. In other terms, I can express it as the mean quantity of beans that the farmers brought into the collection center. So it is 24.6 kilograms. I hope now that you are okay with the calculations and that you are ready to do the next part of this calculation. Can you remember children, there was another part for this question. They were asking about a collection of 10 days. Let us look at that part. The mean quantity of beans brought by the farmer on a day was 24.6 kilograms. But the question was, they were asking for the collection for 10 days, the expected collection for 10 days. So children, we have to multiply this by 10 to obtain the answer. The total is 246 kilograms. Now, we have done one sum together. Shall we do another sum? Okay, children, let's continue. Let us look at another question. I hope you will be ready with the charts, the tables, and to copy this sum. Again, I have selected a sum from the maths textbook. Exercise 26.3, page 94, question number 2. In this, the information on the number of shirts produced each day of a month by a certain garment factory is given in the following frequency distribution. So, the number of shirts is given in the first row and the number of days in the second row. Here children, they haven't mentioned the total number of days. So, you will have to quickly add and understand what the total number of days is. Then the question is, calculate the mean number of shirts that is produced per day according to the above information. Based on the mean, find the number of shirts that can be expected to be produced during the 3 months. So, you have understood that first thing we have to do is to calculate the mean of this distribution. Let us draw the table together. I hope you are ready with the writing books. Now children, look at this table. The first column of the table, number of shirts. Second column is mid value. Then third one, number of days. And the last column, FX. I have already worked out the mid value column because it's an easy calculation that we have to do. So, I hope you will also quickly do this calculation, whereas I add the 1 and the 15 of the first class interval and then divide it by 2. So, 16 divided by 2 is 8. So, likewise, you can quickly calculate the mid values of the class intervals. After calculating the mid values, we have to identify the product Fx. Product Fx is the frequency and mid value being multiplied together. So, in the first row, it's 8 into 4. Then 23 into 8. 38 into 6. 53 into 8. 68 into 4. Now what we have to do is to take the total or the sum of this Fx column. So when you add them up, you will get 1140. Now children, after you calculate this, we have to move into the calculation of the mean. Mean is the division between the total of Fx and the total of F column. So I can put it on the screen like this, where mean is equal to sigma Fx divided by n, or you can say sigma F, and that is 1140 divided by 30, which gives you a value of 38. So 38, what does that denote? So I can put it into words like this: the mean number of shirts produced per day is 38. I hope you understood the calculation part. What did we use for the calculation? It was the mid value of each of these class intervals that we used for the calculation. So children, now you have understood what a mid value is and how we are using it in our calculations. Shall we go through this again? Can you remember how we calculated this? Let us look at the slide. Here, the mid values of each of these class intervals were multiplied by the frequencies, the relevant frequencies. In the first class interval, it's 8 into 4, so 32. Likewise, we multiplied each of these rows to obtain the Fx values. Then we took the sum of the Fx column, 1140. This value needs to be divided by n, or I can say sigma F, because that is the sum of the F column. N also stands for the total of frequencies. I hope you can remember we used N in earlier calculations as well. So it is equal to sigma F. So sigma Fx divided by N, or you can say sigma Fx divided by sigma F. So the total 1140 was divided by 30 to obtain 38. So in words, if I express the final answer, it is the mean number of shirts that were produced per day. So 38 shirts. There was another part of the question there. Shall we go into this? They asked for the production of 3 months. To do this calculation, we can use the mean value that we obtain. The mean value denoted the number of shirts produced per day. So, for a month, we know that we roughly take it to be 30 days. So, if the value per day is 38, when we multiply it by 30, we can obtain the total number of shirts for a month. But what we need is for 3 months. So, the calculation to be done for 3 months, the final answer will be 38 into 30 into 3, which gives you 3420. So, the total expected production will be 3420 shirts. Now children, with this calculation, we can answer all our papers as well. There is always a question on this lesson. Although you are still in grade 10, you are able to answer a question on this FX calculations. So the mean calculation here, we will be able to do using this method. The method of using the mid value for the calculation of the mean of a certain distribution. I think it's better to look at a past paper question now. Shall we go towards a past paper question? Okay children, let us look at this. I have selected a question from 2015 paper. So here they are, the part B in the second paper, the question number 9. I know that some of you don't have the papers with you, but I will give you time for you to take down the important points and work out the sum along with me. Okay children, let's look at this. A frequency distribution containing information on the tickets issued to passengers during a morning trip of a bus is shown in the table below. Now children, the table is given. I hope you all can quickly take it down and copy it with the relevant data in the vertical format in your answer sheet. The price of a ticket is given in the first row. So you all can take it into the first column of your table. 8, 12, 12 to 16, 16 to 20, 20 to 24, 24 to 28, 28 to 32. Then the number of tickets is the frequency. So in your table that you have drawn, you can fill the frequency column. Let us look at the question again. Number of tickets 6, 7, 13, 17, 13 and 8. So I hope you have filled the table now. Let us look at the question. Write down the modal class of the distribution. Second one, find the mean price of the tickets issued. Third question, find the expected income from a morning trip in which tickets are issued to 180 passengers. Assuming that the total expenditure including fuel is 700 rupees for a morning trip, estimate the minimum number of tickets that should be issued to make a profit from such a trip. I read the whole question for you, but we will look at it leisurely. We will take part by part and discuss. Now let us move on to the table that you have drawn. I will also quickly draw the table for you. This is the horizontal format of the data that I received. They were asking for the modal class. So the modal class is the class interval which has the highest frequency. So children, in this I have circled in red the 17. So that is the highest frequency we can see. So the relevant class interval for that is 20 to 24. So the modal class is 20 to 24. Now let us look at the table that you have drawn. Shall I also fill the table quickly along with you? I hope you are ready with this table now. Look at the screen. The price of a ticket. As I told you earlier, you have to write down the price of the ticket in the first column. Then we have kept the second column for the mid value. Then third column we have copied the frequencies. Then the last column we have FX. Right. Now children, let us fill this table. What is the first thing that we have to do? we have to identify the total or the sum of the F column. When you add the values in the F column, you will be obtaining 64. So after this, we have to move into the mid values. Can you remember how we calculated the mid value? When you take a certain class interval, we added the two limits and divided it by 2 to obtain the mid value. Mid value in the first class interval is 8 plus 12 divided by 2, which will give you 10. Next one, 12 plus 16 divided by 2, which is 14. So since the class intervals are of the same size, the mid values also show a certain pattern. It has a difference of 4 in between each of the values. So let us add 4 to each of these values and obtain the mid value. Once we calculated the mid value, what was the next step that we were supposed to do? Can you remember, children? Yes, for the calculation of the mean, we have to identify the sum of the fx column. So therefore, first thing that we have to do is to calculate the fx in each of the rows. Let us look at the rows in the question. 8, 12, so the mid value was 10 and the number of tickets 6. So 10 is to be multiplied by 6. So answer is 60. I hope you will also multiply it quickly and find out the answers for this. 14 into 7 is 98. Then 18 into 13 is 234. 22 into 17, it is 374. 26 into 13, what is the value, children? Let us see. Yes, 338. The last one, 30 into 8, 240. Now, we have to take the total or the sum of this column. So, the total will be 1344. Now, we have obtained the values for the calculation. What do we need to calculate the mean? We need to know the sum of the fx column and the sum of the frequencies. We have both of these values with us. Let us put it into the formula. Mean is sigma fx divided by n or sigma f, which is 1344 divided by 64. So the answer is 21. We were talking about a set of tickets being bought. So children, here the mean price of a ticket bought is 21 rupees. I hope you understood the calculation of the mean of this distribution. Let us look at the next part of this lesson. Now children, we have already obtained around 4 to 5 marks in this by filling this table and calculating the mean. You get 1 mark for the mid value column and also for the fx column, 2 marks because you are calculating each of the fx values and taking the sum of it, and also once you substitute these values to the formula and calculate the mean, there again you will be obtained 1 or 2 marks. So a total of 4 to 5 marks you have obtained so far. Right. Let us look at the third part of the question. They asked us to find the expected income from a morning trip in which tickets are issued to 180 passengers. So children, the mean price of a ticket that we calculated was 21 rupees. So the number of tickets that they expect to sell is 180. So children, to find the total expected income, it is 21 rupees into 180. So 3,780 is the income that you can expect. In the fourth part, they are asking us to assume the total expenditure including the fuel to be 700 rupees. So the total cost of this is 700 rupees. Now let us look at the question. They ask us to find the minimum number of tickets that we should be selling to make profit from this trip. So children, the cost is 700 rupees. Therefore, we will have to identify how many tickets that we have to sell to obtain a profit. So at least we have to be selling 34 tickets. 700 divided by 21, we obtain an answer of 33 and 1/3. But it is actually 34 tickets that we have to sell at least to make a profit out of this trip. I hope you understood this calculation. See how easy it is. It's an O-level paper question that I discussed with you. So today what we learned was for the calculation of the mean of a frequency distribution, and we did a past paper question as well. So children, let us look at what we learned today. We have learned, or we have identified, the mean value of a class interval, and we calculated the mean value of the class interval separately, and using that we calculated the mean of a frequency distribution. So using the mean value that you have calculated, we can make predictions and we can apply it to our day-to-day life. We have gone through this lesson, frequency distribution of the grade 10 mathematics syllabus. So there is another part remaining of this lesson, which we will be discussing in the next lesson. So I hope to meet you all in the next discussion. So till then, have a nice day and